What's up, my friends? Welcome to this live, my friends. This live stream. I'm excited to be here with you today. We did this last week, and we are actually should say on Monday. We're going to go ahead and do it again here today. This is episode number 26 of the Health Breakdown. And again, this is where we dive into powerful health and wellness topics, breaking down insights from impactful videos. And again, our goal here is to uncover truthful, actionable knowledge that we can use to optimize our health and our wellness, elevate our energy, and maximize our longevity. And my friends, I'm glad it's Friday, and we have a solid lineup here today for you. But let's go ahead. Let's get right into it. Again, hope your day is going super well. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna break in right here, my friends.
Every level, from the doctors, the hospitals, to the insurance companies, the pharmaceutical companies, people make money by keeping Americans sicker. And today we have the sickest population in the world. More than 60% of our kids have chronic disease. When my uncle was president, I was a 10-year-old boy. It was 3%.
We're talking about 1960 to 1963.
Around, yeah. And today it's gone up to 60%. So about 8 in 10 American kids cannot qualify for military service. We have obesity crises. We have diabetes crises. The autism rates in our population, in 1970, we had the largest epidemiological study ever performed, found that about 0.7, so less than 1 out of 10,000 Americans had autism. And today, the latest data from CDC, which is one of my agencies, is 1 in every 31 kids, 1 in about every 20 boys. In California, which has the best data collection of any state, we have probably the most accurate, so it's probably worse than this, is 1 in every 19 children has autism, and 1 every 12.8 boys. And so we need to really change. We need to pivot at this agency and make it and begin at every level changing these perverse incentives which make people rich by keeping us safe, and align the economic incentives of our agency with good public health, so that people, so doctors, hospitals, insurers, all get wealthy by actually making people healthier.
Right there, my friends. You know, it's not that the system is broken. It's set up for failure, right? It's set up for you to fail. Essentially, it's rigged, right? Where we have more spending on healthcare, pharmaceuticals, doctor's visits, yet our health has declined tremendously across the board. Autism rates higher than ever, diabetes higher than ever. Something isn't right. And I think RFK is a blessing to, again, stop having people, companies, organizations profit off of making you sicker and making your children sicker. That's really twisted. That's really evil, right? We don't want your health to flourish. We don't want life to flourish. We want to suppress you, and in the meantime, make some money off of it. That's just, there's nothing good about that. And the saddest part about this is that it's really taking advantage of our children. Really, really disheartening that, again, kids are having diabetes, right? We're profiting off of children for the most part. To me, again, good or evil, that there's nothing good about that whatsoever. So again, that's why I'm so adamant about these kinds of things and just making sure everyone's aware of what's really taking place. How do you spend more money but get sicker? How do you have more medicines but get sicker? Something's not right there. So again, blessing for everything that he's doing and already making tremendous progress. Tremendous. So, we'll kind of stay along these lines here for a minute.
Take a look at this. Medical versus non-medical immunization exemptions for childcare and school attendance policy statement. The AAP recommends that all states, territories, and the District of Columbia eliminate all non-medical exemptions from immunizations as a condition of school attendance. That's the entire country, everybody. In addition, states and territories should develop policies to ensure that any medical exemptions are appropriate and evidence-based, meaning we don't believe there's such a thing as a medical exemption. Folks, the fight is on. It's real. I want to bring on probably the greatest attorney in the world, Aaron Siri. What do you think of this statement made by the American Academy of Pediatrics, basically demanding a removal of any exemption out of the vaccine program across this country?
I think that they just rung the death knell to the vaccine program in this country in many ways. For parents that have reasons to not vaccinate their children, they're going to seek to nationally crush their rights. It turns them into lifelong advocates that are going to fight. This is not about health. If they cared about health, they care about the chronic disease epidemic. They have overseen, in the last 40 years, the largest decline in childhood health in recorded human history. Chronic disease line goes up, that's good for business. Vaccination rates go up, that's good for business. But they made, I think, a tragic mistake in what they're doing by saying, let's crush the rights of people around the country. They can't persuade you on the merits. And so their solution is, we're going to crush your rights to make you do what we want, even though we can't persuade you. That is the absolute worst form of conduct.
Crazy. I've been following Dell for a while. I think a lot of you guys have as well with the High Wire. Aaron Siri, that is the attorney that he is using, or that his company is using, to, again, fight back against all kinds of vaccination dynamics. But this one here, my friends, when they're starting to pull, again, religious exemption, medical exemption, they're taking away your rights. So again, just real basic thought processes. If something is good for you, then it should be good for you all the time. But if it's not, then it must not be good, right? So vaccination rates have dropped more than ever, okay? Probably because of the COVID pandemic. Just a hunch, though. In demanding that you get vaccinated, but finding out it doesn't work. So again, as Aaron Siri said, on the merits, can't convince you on the merits because there really are none whatsoever. Side effects, possible cause of death, damage. And so now we want you, again, why are people or companies or people in political positions so adamant about telling you what you need to do with your health, with something that they're having serious difficulties proving is actually beneficial? So then what's the next step? We're just going to remove any exemptions. We're going to bury you into the ground. We're going to force you all the way through so that you have to take a vaccine that is not beneficial for you, that's going to cause harm. Man, that frustrates me. That bothers me. That gets me fired up. That gets me really fired up, because I will never vaccinate my children at all. And I have that right to do that. It's my job to take care of them. It's my job to protect them. It's my job to look out for them and to say or not say what goes into their body, right? That is my right as a father, as a parent, right? You cannot take away any kind of exemption, religious, medical, anything. That to me is a violation of freedom, of your rights, of the law. But yet when it comes to vaccines, they're just special. They're just another kind of special, yet they're so good for you. They're so good for you that we have to take away all your rights in the process. Again, doesn't add up, my friend. It doesn't add up. And I just encourage you to continue to question this whole dynamic. Continue to question, please. Because once you do, once you start to really understand, once you start to really get into the facts and the details, you never turn around. You never say, oh, wow, now I'm definitely doubling down on vaccines. I've known nobody who does that. And all of these doctors that get minimal schooling on vaccines, besides, hey, vaccines are the holy grail, just push them, take them, and we're good. That it's the same thing as nutritional education for a lot of medical doctors. 19 hours worth in 4 years. It's broken. It's broken, my friends. This is why you need to be your own health operator. You need to be in charge of your health. You need to be the lead in this dynamic because it's crucial and it could cost you your life if you're not. Fires me up, guys. That fires me up. Yeah, we'll stick with this.
The vaccine in the world is the DTP vaccine, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. We banned it. We got rid of it in this country because it was causing injuries, brain injuries, severe brain injuries, or death to 1 in every 300 children. We used it in the 80s, and that's why there was all this litigation against vaccine companies that precipitated the passage of the Vaccine Act that then gave them immunity from liability. But in Europe, they don't use it. In America, they don't use it. But we give it to 161 million African children a year. So Bill Gates asked the Danish government to support that program and said it saved 30 million lives. The Danish government said, show us the data. He wasn't able to. So they went to Africa and did their own studies. And they looked at 30 years of DTP data. And what they found shocked them all. They found that girls who got the DTP were dying at 10 times the rate of unvaccinated girls. But they were dying of things that nobody had ever associated with the vaccine. They were dying of diphtheria, of anemia, malaria, bilharzia, pulmonary disease, respiratory disease, and pneumonia. And nobody noticed for 30 years that it was the vaccinated girls and not the unvaccinated girls who were dying. And what had happened is these girls were not dying of diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. The vaccine had protected them against those, but it had also ruined their immune systems. And they were unable to defend themselves against other just minor diseases that other kids who had hardy immune systems were able to fend off.
You just say, wow, how is this even possible? How is this even legal? How are we even able to continue to poison and inject people with these kinds of things? This reminds me of a recent pandemic, but when the solution to the problem was worse than the problem itself. So, yep, you're being protected from, diphtheria, pertussis, and whatever other ones that he mentioned there, but you're 10 times more likely to die than someone who has not been vaccinated. And yet this is still, mainstream, got to get vaccinated. I just don't know where we're at. To me, again, my friends, vaccines are the biggest fraud ever committed against humans and human health. And again, this man, Bill Gates, who gave vaccines to, I believe it was young women in Pakistan, injured over 450,000 young girls from these vaccines. So again, I just don't think it takes a super smart rocket science kind of a person to put 2 and 2 together here and figure out that this isn't what people thought it was. This isn't what we were told it was. In fact, it's the complete opposite, ironically. Interesting. Crazy, just kind of crazy, right? Crazy world we live in, but it just makes you want to dig deep. It makes you want to know why. It makes you want to know how these things are still being pushed, continued, and okayed. And trust the science. Gotta trust the science, guys. Trust the science. Well, we trust the real science, the real data, but that seems to be covered up and held back in a lot of these situations. So trust your instincts, trust your intuition, trust your wisdom, my friends, and trust the facts right in front of you. just like that. Let's shift gears here for a second, my friends.
Is that fragrance actually can encompass hundreds to thousands of different chemicals, and most of them are not disclosed. So it can very often contain endocrine disruptors like phthalates. It's been linked to low testosterone, fertility issues in women, allergies in children, asthma in children. It's been linked to so many different chronic conditions. Everybody thinks if they spray something that smells like meadows, then your home is clean. That couldn't be further from the truth. It's actually dirtying the air in your home.
Yeah, my friends, these have been running rampant for a long time. Neurotoxic, endocrine disrupting fragrances across the board. You know, in your candles, in sprays, in the little things in your car, the little fragrance pieces. Anything that smells a little too potent is probably a little too potent. And there's a reason why what is that? Something's different about that. It like zings through you. It's like this, something's not right here. That's a little too powerful. So just make sure whatever it is that you're spraying or burning is not disrupting your endocrine glands, AKA your hormones, right? Your endocrine glands are in charge of many things, but they are in charge of your hormones and balancing your hormones and estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. And so when you are disrupting your endocrine gland system, you are also disrupting your hormones. So again, these things are neurotoxic, my friends. They affect the neurological system, again, directly tied into the adrenal glands. And so be aware. Again, fragrances, from laundry detergents to dish soaps to perfumes to candles to all kinds of things. If it lights you up, if it's super potent, powerful, not a natural smell, most likely it has an endocrine disruptor in there. So, yeah. This one actually here is pretty good.
Papaya seeds are very important. You want to eat the papaya seeds and swallow them whole to remove parasites from the body. Don't crush them, don't bite them. They're magnets and they attach themselves to parasite and bring them right out. If you crush it, it loses its magnetism. So just swallow them whole.
My friends, this is Aris Latham. I think that's how you say his last name. He is an old school healer. Been following this guy for a long time. This man juices constantly, eats no starch, tremendous natural healer. But, you know, I've heard this before in regards to the seeds within a papaya. And so I used to eat them. I used to just munch on them. And I'm like, man, these are really not good. They don't taste good at all. And then I kind of stopped. And then, you know, dinging more. The correct way to ingest the papaya seeds is to swallow them. And they are tremendous for parasite elimination. So again, simple, natural hack. Most of us have parasites within us. Some of them you can see, some of them you can't see. But papaya seeds, my friend, a great natural way to remove parasites from the body. Again, swallow them whole. All right. Yeah. Yeah, so my friends, pretty straightforward there. And we've seen, hopefully, most likely, you've seen numerous of these, you know, examples of the radiation and the electromagnetic frequencies that are emitted from the wireless headphones. So again, get back to wired headphones. Get back to wired, connect them. right? The wireless dynamic is no good, my friend. No good. And this has been shown, demonstrated on numerous tests. Here it is again, directly. I mean, that thing goes high in the electromagnetic frequency that is being emitted. Like that just absolutely cannot be good. In what way is that level of frequency, radiation, emitted through and by the brain? How is that beneficial? Not. So again, a lot of our kids have these. Get them a wired pair of headphones, my friend, and rest easy, right? I don't want to have to be thinking about my son radiating his brain and zapping his head while he's listening to his AirPods. So gives me peace of mind. Hopefully it gives you peace of mind as well.
An entire emerging body of science that links microbiome to mental health, what they call the gut-brain connection. There's these extraordinary studies that have been done in prisons and juvenile detention facilities where they change the foods, and the results are extraordinary. In one juvenile detention facility, and this is pretty typical, the suicide rates went down by 100%. The use of restraints went down by 75%.
When they just changed
when they just changed the diet. There's a professor at Harvard who is curing schizophrenia with dietary changes. And violence went down in prisons by 47%. So one of the things that we're urging governors to do is to look at these areas and to do what they can to start changing the diets in the schools, getting the food dyes out that we know affect behavior. So, there's opportunities now for all of us to live up to our obligation to our children and really give them a chance in life and change not only their physical health, but also their mental health.
There you go. Another win. For sure, my friends, the connection to the gut and the head is profound. And this is something that Dr. Morse has talked about for quite some time. But a lot of head issues originate in the gut. So again, head issues most likely are coming from some kind of a gut issue. So again, to demonstrate that diet impacts so much, this was a great example of that. But if any of you go to a doctor and your doctor says your diet has nothing to do with your health, just if that were me, I don't go to doctors. I only go to a doctor if I need a surgery on my arm because it's falling off, or an emergency situation. I haven't been to a doctor in I literally don't know how long, maybe a decade more, right? But if you do, go to doctors. And again, they play their parts, but for the most part, it's really in surgical dynamics and emergency situations, first aid situations, right? But if you do go to a doctor and they say that your diet has nothing to do with your health, I would get out of that office immediately. I would leave immediately, because your diet is possibly the biggest factor when it comes to your health. Yes, sleep. Yes, exercise. But what you eat, my friends, it's your fuel. It's your energy. It's your lifeblood. Besides oxygen, if you don't have oxygen, you're dead. We don't get to food. But we got oxygen. Okay. Now, how else do we sustain life? Right? Your diet. You eat every day, multiple times a day for the rest of your life. You might as well get good at it. You might as well optimize it. You might as well know what it is that you're putting into your body and what kind of effects it has on your health. So bring in good things, and the result of good things will happen. And that study in regards to the suicide rate going down, and that is powerful. So good in equals good out. Very simple, very natural, very basic. But my friends, please pay attention to your diet. I love that video. That's a good one. Let's go over here, my friends. I got 3 more for you guys. I got 3 more for you here today. We'll go here.
Research, this is fascinating, has shown that 12 minutes of focused prayer every day for 8 weeks can produce enough change in the mind to be measured on a brain scan.
Are you serious?
That's true.
So it's reconfiguring neural pathways.
Yeah, 12 minutes. That's all it takes. A focused prayer every day for 8 weeks can produce enough change. Think about this. Toxic thoughts like fear, anxiety, unforgiveness can damage the brain and the body through the chemicals they produce. Ooh. People don't realize this, but fear, okay, now there's a certain level of fear that protects you, right? Like, you know, a car's coming and you're walking across the road. Yeah. But over time, if you live in fear, it produces negative, results. And so, but when we pray, our body produces chemicals that have a positive effect.
I love that, my friends. The mind is so powerful, and there are recent studies coming out as well that, dictate the way that you think creates physical changes within the body, right? And so, this is on a spiritual and mental dynamic, in my opinion. But for the last 3 years, I have listened to the Bible and Holy Scripture. And this year, I started to do a prayer every day. And again, there is just something so powerful about nourishing yourself with God and how it affects not only the mind, but the body as well, and the emotions. But it really does start to reconfigure neural pathways. And I can verify that just through my own experience. So again, so much of what we do is about adding more, add some more, add this, add that. Whereas I really believe that addition by subtraction, especially in 2025, is probably the best route that you can go. The more that you remove things from your diet, your daily life, your habits, but there are certain things that are monumental. There are certain things that should take place immediately upon waking. And for me, that spiritual practice, again, as well as what I do is I get out, I walk on the ground barefoot, again, grounding in the sun, and I listen to the Bible, or I start off with prayer. And so it has just helped me. It has just helped me so much. Changes the way I think, changes my approach to things, changes the way I handle things. And I have immense faith in God. But that study is extremely powerful, my friends. If you don't have a spiritual practice in your regular daily routine, I highly suggest that you begin to work yourself towards that. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. This guy right here. Yeah.
Has the ability to penetrate all 3 layers of your skin, and in some cases even dissolve certain types of lumps on your body. Probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make. They're not using it consistently enough. They try it once and they expect these miracles to happen. You want to use just a little bit and really rub it into the different parts of your face. And you're going to find that it actually helps to hydrate your face. One of the biggest benefits of using castor oil on your eyelashes or even eyebrows, it tends to increase the growth and the thickening of your eyelashes and even your eyebrows. Works on skin tags, warts. For those things, I would also add iodine and garlic. Another thing that castor oil can do has the ability to help dissolve tartar. Another little hack I would recommend for your skin, if you really want to take your skin to the next level. Dip your face in an ice bath, and then you add the castor oil. The combination is going to create a really amazing effect with your skin.
Dr. Berg, I like him. I like a lot of what he says. What's crazy is that my wife used to tell me about her grandmother putting castor oil on her face every single day. And her skin was incredible. She looked so young. And Barbara O'Neill is another advocate for castor oil. And if you have, for me, I have some football injuries, right? If you put castor oil on areas that, have arthritis or are arthritic, that maybe you broke a bone in an area, so some of that calcium buildup. Another tip is castor oil on the belly button. That is intense, but use castor oil on a regular basis, my friend. Again, for whatever specific use need you'd like it to help you with. But facts, great for the skin. Facts, great for deeper issues below the skin as well, where it's hard to get to, right? Use the oils, my friend. Use castor oil, hemp seed oil, olive oil, coconut oil, but specifically in this case, castor oil. Fantastic, beneficial. And what's crazy is things come full circle. And here we are using castor oil in 2025, but understanding its benefits. So last one here, my friends. The last one. Yeah.
Strength or physical strength?
Physical strength. Mental strength is downstream from it.
I think mental first. I think mental strength is the #1 issue in the world right now. I think we need to make our young people mentally stronger.
I don't disagree.
They're all gym bunnies. They're all piling the weights on, but they don't have it up here.
I think that most people are neither. I think that most people have atrophied physically and mentally. And I think that the easiest change that you can do, trying to think your way out of overthinking is like trying to sniff your way out of a cocaine addiction. And you can't really change the mind with the mind. You have to change it with the body first. So going for a walk will do way more for your mood than sitting and thinking about and vacillating about whatever's dealing with you. If I had the choice between a good night's sleep or a hard training session, I would go to the gym because the difference in my mood before and after the gym is way more than before and after a night's sleep. I don't disagree. The two work simpatico together. But for me, if you do not have a physical practice of some kind and you're struggling with mental health, you need to look at the physical side before you look at the mental side. That is the foundation. That's the raw materials of what your mentality is going to grow out of.
That one is super powerful, my friend, because first of all, sleep is absolutely important, but I get what he's saying. And initially, I kind of agreed with Piers, like mental, of course. To me, life is 90% mental. You got to be operating properly. But in context of what Chris is saying and expanding upon it a little bit more, he's right. Because I know what I lift a lot. Like I've loved it. Started lifting when I was 10 years old. And it's amazing, right? But I used to think that it was really just for my physical health. Possibly the most powerful thing is the mental and emotional health of how you feel. And so when I have a deload week or an off week, specifically designed off week or deload week, I really struggle mentally. It's like I don't really like. It's like I'm paralyzed almost. Like, well, what do I do? I don't. I got to chill this week. I can't, do what I normally do. And when you can let your energy out, my friends, when you can go, when you can move, it's really invigorating. It's really next level. And I do think that so many of us, especially young kids, they're on their phone, they're sitting on the couch, they're watching TV. I'm 40 at this point, and yep, I had Nintendo and Sega and Super Nintendo and PlayStation. But honestly, I really didn't play it for very long. If I had a phone when I was a kid, I don't know what I would have done. But I can absolutely tell you the downside of technology. I'm sure we all are aware of that at this point. But move, my friend. If you are struggling mentally, first of all, get your sleep, get your diet right as well, my friend. But move. Exercise, let go of that energy physically, mentally, emotionally. Do something hard, challenge yourself, make it tough, right? Whatever it is, lift a weight, go for a run, go for a swim, go for a hike, ride a bike, go play sport, right? Whatever it is, move around. I do agree, though, life is 90% mental. So if your mental dynamics, if your mental health is not straight, then it's going to be hard to operate properly. It's going to be hard to kind of optimize who you are, your results, your productivity, all that kind of a thing. But if you're not active, if you're not exercising, moving every single day, move it or lose it. You're going to lose it, right? So do something, challenge yourself every single day to do something, even if it's walking for 20 or 30 minutes. Get out, do something. And don't, I guess, leaning into Chris's point, don't sit around thinking too much. Just be. You know, Jocko has a, you know what? I'm actually going to pull it up because Jocko's the man. But yeah, this has more to do with fear, but I like the point of it. I like the point of what he's saying. I like the whole dynamic behind it, but yeah.
Have you learned about how to deal with and overcome fear?
Go. Yep. When all that fear that's in your head, all the what ifs and the scenarios that you create inside your own mind that are way worse than anything that is actually going to happen, they all disappear when you go. So just take action and start moving forward.
That's it right there, my friends. I think that was a good way to kind of cap it off. But again, there's a lot of chatter, a lot of hyper chatter in our minds of fear, of worry, of anxiety. And, you know, to me, that's not on the side of God, right? God didn't create you to worry and to be fearful and to be anxious. So that to me comes from the other side. So again, instead of just overthinking things, just go. And most times the things that you fear don't ever even come to reality. I forget what the number was, but it's something like 70% of all the fears that you ever think in your head actually never come true. It's fear of the unknown. It's fear of what might be, yet it's usually a level 3 out of your perceived level 10. So you're freaking out and responding to something that might happen, but that isn't even real. It's not even real. That's crazy. So I love Jocko, again, ex-Navy SEAL. Just go do something. Same thing with exercise. Just go move around, go do something. And yeah, my friends, hope that this brought you value. Hope that this perspective, again, a different perspective, was helpful, was beneficial, and got you to kind of think maybe in a different way or perceive things from a different angle, and to take all of the perspective and, you know, use it to your benefit. Let it shape your mind in the correct way, in an empowering way, not in a fearful way. And to, again, implement these kinds of things into your life. Trying to live long, 100 years old is the goal, my friend. Live to 100 and do it in the best way. Do it at your highest level of vitality and energy, my friends, in the most natural way. So, my friends, habits and lifestyle, that's what it gets down to. What do you do on an everyday basis? And might be boring doing the same thing over and over again, like eating right, like sleeping right, like moving right, like getting out in the sun. But let me tell you, it may be boring, but it's powerful and it works. And there is no magic pill. There is no magic solution. There is no one certain exercise, one specific herb, one magical piece of food, one nighttime hack. It's what you do. It's what you do. So live properly, my friends. Live long and live happy, live purposeful, live with impact, and live with the ones that you love. I love you, my friends. Appreciate you. And I'll see you soon.